Hey guys, welcome to our first lecture on concrete. So to start off with, we've got this house that's been provided to us. We're going to do the footings and foundations for it. So we're just going to be doing the slab and the footings. We're not going to be doing the walls or the columns or the roof. As you guys should remember how to do this from basic drafting, we're just going to go a few, just a bit more in depth with this, and then we're going to move on to our other concrete elements. Alright. So I'm going to go File, New, Structure Template, Project, okay. I'm just going to check my levels. Level 1, that's where I want to start. I'll just check from an elevation. Okay, if I start on level 2, my slabs are going to be floating. So make sure I'm on level 1. So I'll close them. So level 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the outside measurements for the slab. So structure, everything that we do is going to be in structure. Slab, boundary line, going to draw the line. And we're going to draw in our slab here. So 8300, come down, 22 meters. Six, 2, 5, 0. There to there. Alright. So these are the outlines for my slab. Now remember, these are the outside measurements. We need to put in our edge beams here. Our edge beams are going to be for our rebates to hold our brick course. So what we need to do is we need to move all this in. We need to allow for the 110mm brick, and then we need to allow for our 40 or 50mm thermal gap, so our air gap. So offset, this one here is going to be 150, and to the inside. Make sure it's to the inside. If you go to the outside, you'll be taking the wrong measurements. Okay, and now I'm going to delete these outside lines because I don't need them anymore. And this top one. I then come with the trim tool and just tidy up the lines. Now if you miss one, when you click the tick like this, you'll get this. It's going to highlight what is overlapping. So just make sure you tidy them all up first. Click the tick, and this is what I have here. So if I come to my 3D, I'm going to change my detail level and make it shaded. This is the slab that I've modeled. Now, as you learnt in your geotechnical design from the AS2870, mainly we're getting most of our stuff from here, page 30. It tells us our footing depths, our slab mesh, our reinforcement bars, and our spacings. So just remember where we're referring all these things to. So I'm going to select my slab, and we've got a 150mm foundation slab here. Now I want is 100mm. So click it, go edit type, edit. Sorry, I'm going to duplicate first. I'm going to make it 100mm. Now remember, we can use 125 depending on our fill or any brittle surfaces or any higher loads on our structures. So structure, edit, thickness of 100. I'm going to change this here, my material. Click these 3 dots, concrete, and I'm going to go 25 MPa. It's pretty typical for a house to be 20 or 25 MPa concrete. Okay, okay again, and go okay once more. So that is our slab. Alright, so it's not a whole lot of effort to put that one in. But now what we need to do is we need to create an edge beam. I recommend getting a typical footing cross section up to look at. I'll just see if I can find one quickly here. So What I'm talking about is this edge beam here. So I have my stud, I have this gap and my brick, and I have a rebate where my brick sits on, and then I have my edge footing here. So this is the footing I'm talking about. Internal beam, edge beam, we've just drawn this slab here. So if I go here, this arrow under slab, and go slab edge, if I zoom in and I click the bottom line, if I click the top, it's going to move it up. So if I click the bottom line of my slab, this is the edge beam that Revit has in there at the moment, and it's not the one that I'm after. So I'm going to delete that, and I need to create the family. So file, new family. Make sure you have the metric ones in here. If you've got Imperial, please make sure you have Australian libraries loaded into your Revit. And what I'm after is a metric profile hosted, and go open. Once I've opened this, there's a lot of confusing things in here. I'll try to guide you through the best I can. Just follow the steps and you should be okay. I hope it will make sense. But we can imagine this bottom line here, this dashed line, as the bottom of our slab. Okay, and then this line here as the edge of our slab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some reference points just to kind of help me get through this. So if I right click, go create similar, 100, I have a 100mm thick slab. So if I measure, so everything in here is my slab. This is the edge of my slab. Now what I have is my footing is 300mm wide. Every 100mm wider, I have to increase 1 bar top and bottom. So we typically try to keep them at 300mm wide. So if I go right click, create similar, I know on this side I have 150 coming out, which means I have 150 coming this way. So 150. Should come down. Alright. I know I have my slab here, and under my slab I have my bedding sand or blinding sand. So right click, create similar. Alright, so at the moment 100 to there. I'm just going to check that again. So that's my blinding sand under my slab. Okay, so hopefully I have enough now to try to do my edge beam. Remember, the edge beam I'm doing is this one here. So I'm coming down, across, down, and up. So my set down is 25mm or 30mm. So create line. So I come down from the top. So I can see here my measurement is coming from this line. So that's at 40. I'm going to type in 25. Go enter. So that's where my rebate starts. I then have to allow for my brick course and my thermal gap. So 150. Okay, and then come down. Remember, my footing depth I'm going to take is, say, 600. This footing depth is measured from the top of the slab. So it's 575 from the top. And then I'm coming across 300, which is going to get me to this line for the thickness of that footing. Then I'm going to come up to where it meets the bottom of the blinding sand or my bench level. And then I know from here it comes at a 45-degree line, which in this case, if that's 90, it's 135, until it reaches the bottom of my slab. And now all I need to do is just close my shape. So I'll come back across and back up, hit escape twice, and this is the final shape of my footing. Now what I'll do is just delete the reference lines I put in, which is them. So this here is a 45-degree line, this here is my footing. So effectively this shape is this. Okay. So now what I'll do is here in the properties, I'll change my profile usage to slab edge. My material is concrete. Apply. If you can't find your properties, go view, user interface, properties, just like you do in a model. So that will complete this. Go file, save as, family. Wherever you're saving it, make sure you're saving it in appropriate spots. So this is my slab edge beam. Go save. Alright, so that's this here. I'm just going to close that architectural one. And now what I'll do is load into project, come to my 3D, slab edge. Now if I click the bottom line here, I still have this stupid beam here. Okay. If I click on this beam in the properties, usually I can change it. Here I can't. So what this is looking like is it hasn't loaded in yet. Now what I'll do is I'll check the families in my project browser. Families. Come down to my profiles. Slab edge beam. That's the one I just created. So I know it's loaded in. Now I just have to find it. Just like we did when we were looking at our warehouse. If I select this edge beam, go edit type, profile. What I'm doing is I'm changing the profile in here to be my slab edge beam. Go OK. And this is what I get. Alright. So I'll just come around slab edge. Make sure you're clicking the bottom line. And I'm going to do it in 3D and just come around my entire project and click the bottom lines everywhere. Bottom and then the bottom here. So what this will do is will give me my cost rebate for my brick. So if I look at my level 1, I'm just going to take a cross section through so everyone can see it. Just get closer, right click, go to view. So this is what I can see. Just going to change this here, define, shaded, might go hidden line. Okay, so I can see my slab, so my stud will sit here, my brick is going to sit here. So now this is starting to look a bit more like this. Now what I can see is I have two different cuts in this shape, and I need to get rid of that somehow. So in my modify tab, I have this join geometry function here. So if I click on this, I select what I want to join. So I want to join my footing to my slab. And then on this side as well, I want to join my footing to my slab. Okay. Now what happens is, it doesn't really look like it's changed much. What I'm going to do first is, I'm going to select one of these, right click, select all. So grab all of my footings. I'm going to go edit type. I'm going to specify this material here. Remember they pour the concrete in the same day. So this is 25 MPa concrete as well. And go OK. Now that looks a bit better. Alright, so now that's joined our slab and our footing, or our edge beams, a lot better. So that's how we can do this. Alright, so if I come back to my level 1, I'll take a section through here. Let's have another look. Alright, so same thing. I have to join these again. Alright, if I just make that a bit easier to see. Alright, I have to go back through this join process. Shaded, cool. Move this level out of the way. And all of our joints have been made. So now we can start worrying about some of our reinforcement. And the other thing we need to do is put in our internal beam. So our internal beam is this one here, where we've got two 45-degree lines coming to our slab. Alright, What we'll do first is we'll put in our footings, like our footing layout, and then we'll start to change some of them. Alright. What I would like to do is put in our slab mesh, and then I'll continue on the rest of it in a second video, just to give you guys a chance to get sorted with this. So level 1, I'll delete this section, I'll take it again after. I'm going to put in my slab mesh. So what I would do, just make sure my slab's here. My rebar cover, Revit gives you straight away 25mm. I'm going to increase this to 30. So hopefully you guys remember how to do this. Structure, reinforcement, rebar cover settings, add, make this one here 30. Okay, in the standards we have 30mm cover to a membrane, which is our Forticon, our damp-proof membrane, our DPM, which is that dashed line that we'll see around our footings. Go OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change my rebar cover settings on my slab. I'm going to select my edge beams as well. I'm just going to change it in here. Okay. And now what I'll do is put in some slab mesh up the top. So from table 30, or page 30, sorry, I'm going to use SL82. My maximum length is 22 meters. So fabric area, pick the host, which is my slab. Fabric sheet is SL82. I want it on the top, aligned, yes. Then these are just standard ones that come in based on the sheet. Pick lines. Now, what I want to pick are my slab lines, not my edge rebate. So my slab are these lines here. Alright. If you pick these outside ones, you're going to have your mesh floating in midair. So all of them, click the tick. Now if I take a section through, go to view, change my detail level to fine, make it shaded. We can now see my slab mesh sitting through here where I expect it to be. And of course we can put our ligatures in here as well. Rebar, HT, we might use, we can try an N10, might be a bit big. Alright, but we can put in our rebar in here as well. I might put our details in, so our reinforcement, in the next video. Alright.